Hello friends, welcome to my channel Learn and Study. Today in this video you will see the relationship between philosophy and education. The concept of philosophy. The word philosophy is made up of two Greek words philo and sophia, means wisdom. The term philosophy means love of wisdom. It is the study which deals with the ultimate realities of the universe and the general cause and principles of those things that man observes and experiences. We can understand more about the concept of philosophy of the given following. Philosophy, also known for the cultivation of excellent thinking. Philosophy helps us to learn, recognize, for instance, the ethical problems and possibilities in our experience, to think through them carefully, to make sound ethical judgment, and to take appropriate actions. Philosophy is an activity and it is based on inquiry. Philosophy as a science and a speculation. Philosophy is not a search for truth but trial of truth. Now we will see the definition of the philosophy. According to the Socrates, the word philosophy is an academic subject that exercises reason and logic in an attempt to understand reality and answer fundamental questions about knowledge, life, morality, virtue, and human nature. Philosophy is emerged as a result of reflection over the experience and problems of everyday living. Philosophy is an activity of criticism, of clarification. Now we will see the concept of education. Etymologically, the word education is derived from the Latin word education, further derived from e meaning out of, and dio means to lead. The word education means to bring out the inside to the outside. Here, educare means to bring out. Educer means improvement and progress and enhancement. Now we will see the definition of education. According to the Aristotle, education is the creation of sound mind in a sound body. Education is a bipolar process where one personality acts upon another in order to modify the development of other. In other words, education is a dynamic force in the life of an individual and influence his physical, mental, social, emotional, ethical, creative, and spiritual development. Hence, education is a continuous process from the womb to the tomb. But according to Educate, education is a making potential. Actual educators these days use education in the sense. Thus, education is both acquisition of knowledge or an art of teaching and the development of skills, attitudes, habits, etc. The child should be trained through experience of his life so that the best in his life can be achieved. According to the ancient Indian educators, the term Siksha is derived from the Sanskrit word verbal root shas, which means to discipline, to teach, to instruct, or to control. The term Vidya education is also derived from the Sanskrit verbal root bid, which means to know. Thus, the word Vidya really means knowledge. Now, we will see exact relationship between the philosophy and education. Philosophy and education are related like a flower or fragrance, skeleton or a flesh and body blood. They are two flowers of one stem and two sides of a coin. Philosophy is a contemplative side, while the education is a active side of the coin. The following statements give better understanding of the relationship between philosophy and education. Philosophy and education are two sides of coin. Education is the dynamic side of philosophy. Philosophy is a theory of education is its most general phrases. Education is a laboratory in which philosophical directions become concrete and they are tested. Education is philosophy in action. It is obvious that philosophy provides the purpose or the aim and the education make it practical. Philosophy will show the direction and education will proceed in that direction. Education without philosophy is blind and philosophy without education is invalid or lame. Thus, education is the dynamic side of philosophy. In other words, it is the philosophy in action. Education philosophy is an applied philosophy. In practical experience, a philosopher must think out his principles before they can be applied to human life. It is equally true that the purpose of the education is in studying philosophy is to concentrate not so much on theoretically principles as upon their significance for life in general, and then for education in particular. To change behavior of children, philosophy gives the information of standards and values while education is tried to put in practice. By this, we can say that education philosophy is an applied philosophy. And the next, education is used for the purpose of teaching people what philosophy to believe. Education is used to philosophers for the purpose of ideological propaganda. One of the outstanding instances of philosophy using education for the purpose of propagation is Buddha and his followers. Philosophy shows the direction for modification of natural development. Education cannot take place without influence. The modern naturalistic movement in education theory and practice advocate that the best education is keeping the child away from the adult influence and allow him to develop entirely as his nature prompts. But in practice, we find even as Neil, who experienced naturalism in his dreadful school at Summer Hill and felt that the schooling was all wrong, does not withdraw himself from his school. The great philosophers have been the great educationalists. Rusk rightly pointed out that the many of the great philosophers were also the great educators. According to the Plato, Republic is claimed by the educationalists as one of the greatest of their classes and by the political philosopher as an ideal work on the political philosophy. But as in a matter of fact, most of the Republic deals directly with education. Other great Western philosophers like Saint Augustine, Saint Thomas Aquinas, Locke, Rousseau, Kant, Hegel, Herbert Spencer, and John Dewey are examples of philosophers who have much to say about the nature, aims, and methods of education. Hence, they are great educators. The idea and ideals of Sanskar and Buddha were preached in India, and many people were converted to their ideologies. The modern Indian philosophers like Gandhi, Tagore, and Sri Aurobindo are also great educators. Philosophy determines the various aspects of education. The philosophy determines aims of education, curriculum, methods of teaching, nature of textbooks, evaluations, role of teacher, school organizations and school disciplines, etc. Now we'll see the conclusion. It has been established the principles and values of life and learned through the education and experience give birth to philosophy. A close observation of the various interpretations of education and philosophy will further reveal that these two disciplines are but one and the same thing seen from different angles, the pursuits of wisdom and knowledge. That is why educationists must have to basic knowledge and understanding about various educational philosophers in order to know the whole nature of philosophy of a specific educational end. Thank you for watching. Please like, share and subscribe my channel.